Welcome to our first Q&A video. So, for anyone who isn't familiar with us, we're The Third Opinion. We are a public legal education platform.
Yeah, which basically means that we teach the law, discuss legal issues and your legal rights.
Yep, pretty much. So, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Shay.
Okay, so let's just get straight into the Q&A. We received a lot of questions. So thank you everyone for submitting them, and we've separated them out into themes. So if you want to skip around, we'll try and put the timestamps in the description box. Yeah. So the first section is all about us, all about The Third Opinion, and we had a lot of questions that were quite similar about who actually runs this account, what our legal backgrounds are, did we do any postgraduate study? So we're just going to answer that in one question. Do you want to start?
Sure, okay. So, who runs this account? Well, we're a group of legal scholars. We have both an undergraduate law degree and a postgraduate law degree. We also work within the profession, and we have a general research interest in the law. But we're not behind this page as lawyers. Lawyers are more to do with the practical side of things and give legal advice that is tailored to a person's individual circumstances. But we do not give legal advice. We're just here as purely educators.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sums it up pretty well. And yeah, so if you're new here, just bear in mind that nothing we say is legal advice. And nothing will give rise to a lawyer-client relationship. So just so that everyone's aware of that. Okay, so someone asked, is this your full-time job? So no, it's not our full-time job.
Yeah, no. We both have different commitments outside of this. We try to do this as much as possible during our free and spare time because public legal education is something that we are passionate about and love to do. But obviously we have to make ends meet with our professional lives, so that's exactly what we do. Yeah, so somebody has also asked where we're from, and as you can probably tell from both of our voices, we're both from the UK.
Yeah, we're from the UK. Okay, another question is, what is the story behind your logo?
Yeah, in all honesty, there is no story behind it. I was just looking for a logo that reflected our name, and we were actually looking for 3 speech bubbles because that could illustrate 3 different opinions. And I made this logo purely as a temporary one, but eventually we just thought it fit the page really nicely and didn't think there was much better out there, so we settled on it. So it's
yeah, we kept thinking about changing it, and then we just got used to it. And like, actually, it's fine.
Yeah, none of the options were better than this one, so it just became permanent. So somebody asked, do we have a podcast?
Okay, so funnily enough, we have been working on a podcast for a while, but due to our professional commitments, we haven't actually released anything yet, but it is in our plan to eventually release something. Someone also asked, what area of law are you particularly interested in / specialize in?
I mean, my particular interest areas are wide ranging. I would say international law, and by that I mean public international law, human rights, crime, immigration, public law, and yeah, I think that pretty much sums up my main interests. And international criminal law.
Right.
Yeah, so
that's a good one.
So those pretty much sum up my main interests, but I find, to be honest, most areas of law quite interesting.
Okay, nice. I like those as well. I think that's a really good selection. For me, I think it's quite funny because since we've been doing this account, I've found myself becoming more interested in a lot of different areas of law that I hadn't really considered before. So yeah, that's been a nice kind of side effect. But in general, if I had to pick, it would be like human rights related. So human rights is definitely an area that I'm really interested in, but specifically it's the intersection of human rights with technology. I find that whole area really interesting. It's very up and coming, very new. You know, lots of like different legal issues are coming to the forefront in that area, and then competition law as well I find really interesting. And like you said as well, you mentioned crime and international law. Those are really, really interesting areas of law. So
yeah. And by human rights related to tech, do you mean privacy, or is it broader than that?
So it's privacy, but it's also, the thing is, it's like the intersection between those two things is, it covers so many different areas. So there's loads of ethical issues involved with technology,
like artificial intelligence and
right,
stuff like that.
Yeah, so it affects, because technology is now affecting all parts of our society, you know, essentially like it covers everything. So, you know, I'll learn about health law, I'll learn about criminal law, because technology is being used in all sectors. Finance, even though I wasn't even that interested in finance, but you get a good understanding of a lot of different areas when looking into these issues.
Cool.
Yeah, okay. So, do you want to answer that question about where you brought up in ends or not?
Oh, we live and breathe the ends.
wait, let me say it. Let me say it properly.
No. You answered it perfect. You asked it perfectly. But we live and breathe all aspects of society. But yeah, that's as much as I'll say.
Yeah, shout out to that guy who asked us that. Alright, so that pretty much covers the section about us and our background. So let's now move on to
the law. Let's jump right into it. Jump right into law. Yeah.
Let's go.
Got a lot of legal questions. But first of all, I want to start with this question. This question says, what do you think about Trump pardoning Lil Wayne and Kodak Black? Well, I've only got one thing to say. Free Kodak till it's backwards. If you read it backwards,
deep.
Kodak free. Kodak is free. So, you know.
Wow, okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought it was really random. I thought it was just like a publicity stunt. Maybe he's just trying to, you know, just make a statement before he, you know, he wanted to make a statement before he left the office of the presidency.
Yeah.
But it is, you know, he could have, you know, he could have pardoned a lot of people that had actually suffered miscarriages of justice.
Yeah, not repeat offenders.
Yeah.
But you know,
maybe he's just preparing for, you know, the 2024 run.
Yeah, either that or he's buying votes amongst the youth and
maybe
Kodak fans and Lil Wayne fans. Lil Wayne's smart though. I think he came out in support of Trump. I mean, it seems kind of a bit dodgy. It's like 1 month Lil Wayne comes out in support of Trump, and then the next month he's being pardoned by Trump, and it's like, okay, what's going on there? But a lot of people are hoping that he would pardon, you know, Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and stuff like that.
Joe Exotic was not pardoned.
Joe Exotic. Yeah, so there's a lot of people on all sides of the political spectrum that were expected to be pardoned that weren't. So it's going to be interesting to see how the political spectrum kind of responds to who was and who wasn't pardoned.
True. And speaking of Trump, we have another Trump question. So someone asked, is Trump going to be faced with loads of legal charges when his presidency ends?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past the Democrats to bring charges against Trump, but I don't think that any president or former president of the United States would be convicted of any offense, any criminal offense, unless it was like so obvious, like they walked in the middle of the street and shot somebody, you know, deliberately.
Yeah.
I don't think any president would go to prison or be convicted.
Yeah, I think people are free to try, and you know, there was a lot of claims about him, like sexual assault claims. So, you know, maybe those people will bring legal action against him now. But you know, like you said, you know, heads of state or even former heads of state, they rarely ever, if ever, get punished or ever face real, you know, get convicted of anything. So
yes,
we'll see.
Yeah. Oh, and they've pretty much gone through the whole impeachment thing twice now, so it's just gonna be kind of like redundant, and then also it will seem like it is a witch hunt, which he claims it is. But also remember that he didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton for the emails. He said he was gonna prosecute Hillary Clinton for her emails, right? And you know, there were whole chants, lock her up, and
Crooked Hillary
Clinton. But yeah, he didn't do anything. So, and I think Biden just came out and said, nah, he doesn't want to do anything either. So I don't think they would do that. I mean, it would be a bad look for the US as well. It's more than about one person, you know. At the end of the day, he's still a president, so he's a symbol of America. And if one American president is made a criminal, then, you know, it's a bit peak. Okay, all right. So what else do we have here? Oh, here's a question for you. When you accept cookies, are you consenting to them?
So the short answer is yes. If you go onto the website, any website, and then the cookie banner pops up and you click accept cookies, then yeah, you are consenting to the cookie being placed on your device. But the interesting thing is that technically under GDPR or under like the UK Data Protection Act, the cookie banner like should have an option for you to reject the cookies, but so many websites don't have this. You know, they're actually not complying with the law, and they shouldn't what they should be doing. And because they're making it really hard for people to reject cookies, so that's actually, you know, it's just very difficult to monitor.
I mean, I'm always on some websites, and you know, when they give you like a million options and make you have to go through each individual one to switch it off instead of having just a reject all button. It's every ridiculous. Time I do that, I'm like, this is illegal, man. This must be illegal. This must be illegal. You know, I mean, what's the point in this?
They make it so hard.
Yeah, it's supposed to be easy to just reject or accept, right? But there's a distinction they make between essential cookies and then all these extra cookies.
Yeah. So there are certain cookies that, like, I think it's strictly necessary cookies that you can't reject. So and they're not like tracking you or anything. Those cookies are just for to make sure that the site actually functions properly. And then I think that's and then there's functional cookies, which are kind of similar. So not all the cookies are like evil tracking cookies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be very interesting to do a post on how dangerous cookies are.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, we should look into that. But also, for the person who asked about this, if you're unhappy, you can actually complain about websites that don't have correct cookie banners or haven't allowed you to reject cookies. So you can just go and complain to the Information Commissioner's Office. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of American sites that, I mean, there's one site, healthline.com. Every time I try and
naming
search
and
something, every time I try and search something, they always come up with results, but I have to accept all their cookies. Well, actually, they do give me the option to accept or reject, right? But if I reject their cookies, then they don't give me the full website. They give me like,
yeah, this is ridiculous.
Just a one-page thing where it's like, what I went on the website to read isn't there. I can't read it.
I know.
You know, but yeah, I just turn away. Like, I mean, if I have to accept all cookies to read your website, then I probably just won't read your website.
Yeah, it just depends how like rushed I am. So if I'm just like in a rush and I really need this information, I'm gonna just press accept.
Yeah, if I'm on like a public computer or something, I don't care. But yeah, so
yeah, so what are your views on the Dangerous Dogs Act? I feel like somebody who's doing A-level law asked this. I think this is one of those questions where they have to like debate the pros and cons.
Yeah, so I won't say my views because I don't really have a view on this. the Dangerous Dogs Act, I mean, I understand both sides. I understand that the purpose of the legislation is to protect the public. And a lot of people say that the legislation works as an effective deterrent. But you know what? Let me explain what the Dangerous Dogs Act does first for anybody that doesn't know. So essentially, the Dangerous Dogs Act criminalizes two things. Well, two main things. The first is owning or having control of a dangerous dog, and the type of dog that is considered a dangerous dog is specified by the legislation. I think there's four kinds of dogs, and then the second offense is having any dog, but a dog which is out of control to an extent that it causes danger to the public. So you can't have a dog that is classified as a dangerous dog, or a dog that is a dangerous dog but is not classified as a dangerous dog, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I mean, I heard that it's been criticized a lot, right? So it seems like it was a really rushed piece of legislation that they just put through because there was a series of really horrible dog attacks. So it was like a quick response. So a lot of people have said it's not really fit for purpose.
That is one of the prevailing views. A lot of people say that it is inadequate because it doesn't actually do what it's designed to do well, which is protect the public. Number two, people say that it's outdated because our views on dogs and the treatment of dogs has changed. We know a lot more about dogs now, and so the Dangerous Dogs Act is said to be outdated and needs to be, updated to bring it to make it fit for purpose. And then some people say that it unnecessarily criminalizes dog owners. They ask whether it would be sufficient to achieve the aims of the legislation by having a civil penalty instead of a criminal sanction or some other kind of penalty, But again, I do understand, the need for legislation which is concerned with public protection against dangerous dogs, because some people do raise dogs in a dangerous way, and people shouldn't have the equivalent of a tiger in canine form on the streets. Hey guys, I just wanted to add another reason against the legislation, which is that it actually allows for dogs to be destroyed or put down if they're dangerous or deemed to be dangerous. And obviously with society's views on the treatment of dogs, pets and animals in general having advanced so much since when this legislation was initially passed, that's a cause of concern. So a lot of people, particularly animal rights activists or pet owners or dog fans, they're against this legislation on an ethical basis. I just wanted to add that, but enjoy the rest of the podcast, and I hope you're enjoying it so far. Yeah, so that answers that question. The other question that I've got here is that, somebody asks about civil action against somebody that makes a false allegation. They ask about different types of damages and compensation that you might get. This is actually quite a broad question. It depends on what the allegation is, but I think the person who's asking the question is talking about defamation. If you have a successful defamation claim, then you could receive damages for any losses caused by the defamation, such as loss of business, and you could also receive damages for other kinds of personal, non-financial injuries, such as mental distress, injury to feelings, damage to reputation, inconvenience or discomfort. Mental distress that amounts to suffering is classed as a personal injury, so it would be assessed like a personal injury claim, whereas mental distress that doesn't quite reach the level of suffering can't be recovered in its own right, but can sort of be added onto a claim for defamation, if that makes sense. It is kind of complex, and a claim for defamation that actually results in loss of reputation could attract quite a substantial amount of compensation. But again, this is a complex area, and assessing compensation is a very, very complex thing. There's no way that we could give you a comprehensive explanation of how compensation is assessed.
Yeah, I mean, so much of this depends on the facts. So, how serious the allegation is, what was the harm that was actually caused. So yeah,
Yes, exactly. You would first need to prove defamation, and if proved, then a judge would have to hear arguments from both sides and use their own intuitive judgment and be guided by awards in previous cases to assess how much you should get. Yeah, and whether or not you have a claim or a substantial claim is a matter for you and most likely a solicitor.
Next question. I know that there are laws in some states that provide those that suspect possible neglect and abuse with forms of taking action, along with some protection for the reporter. What ability would a minor have in reporting the neglect of another minor? So this is a question that's from a US follower. So they're asking about, United States, different states in America.
Yeah. Obviously, the law varies by state, but I think from a common sense point of view, that the law wouldn't want to place any legal responsibility on minors to report the neglect of other minors. A legal responsibility or a legal duty to report would only arise, could only be imposed on somebody who has, say, care responsibilities over a vulnerable person. So, in terms of what minors can do, I think that the best that that any minor can do is to report abuse to a responsible adult that they trust, and then that adult should take any necessary action to notify who they need to notify, whether that is somebody who has care over the victim, somebody who or whether it's the authorities. It would essentially be out of your hands then. But yeah, again, there's 50 states in the US, so this is just a common sense point of view from the top of my head. I haven't looked into the law on reporting in the USA. I know that there's a federal law, but that duty is only in regards to federal matters. Yeah. So, can you explain how the CAN card works in the UK?
Okay, so a CAN card. This is quite a new thing in the UK. It only got introduced in November. So a CAN card is a cannabis card, and you can apply for this if you have a medical condition for which cannabis may be prescribed. So, for pain relief, certain cancer patients often, turn to medicinal cannabis. There's a range of conditions, and essentially the aim is to protect these people who are self-medicating with cannabis from getting arrested. So if the police see you with cannabis and you have a CAN card, you can show them the CAN card, and then they will just leave you and they won't arrest you.
But it has no legal effect. So it's a matter of the police will exercise their own discretion, and if you have one of these cards, some police will just say, okay, well, I'm not going to prosecute you because I have reason to believe that you're using cannabis for medicinal purposes. But obviously this wouldn't apply if you had huge quantities of cannabis or you were smoking it socially or things like that. So don't think that this is a blanket defense for anybody to just go smoke cannabis anywhere they want and however they want.
Yeah, very true. And in any case, getting the card, you have to be eligible. There's a list of you have to have spoken to your GP, been prescribed this in private practice, or there's a long list. If you go on the CAN card website, they'll explain eligibility to you.
I don't think it's apparently from what I've heard, it's not very stringent, and because of that, the police don't put much weight on it, but some do, and it obviously varies by police force and individual police officer. But the government don't support it. The government are against it. They're not. I wouldn't say they're against it, but the government don't support it.
Oh, that's really funny.
And
yeah, I mean, it's pretty new. It's only been around for a few months, so we'll see how things.
Yeah. But what they're trying to do makes sense. They're trying to decriminalize cannabis use and get people to seek treatment rather than put them in jail.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, what is your favorite law?
Ooh. I don't really have a favorite law, to be honest. There's a bunch of laws that I like. Like, I think the Equality Act is a very good piece of legislation. I mean, I think it's taken for granted a lot because for us it's normal to, not be discriminated against and so on and so forth, but we don't actually know how different life would be if the act wasn't there. So yeah, I think it's a very well-rounded piece of legislation which makes sense, has good aims, and is well drafted. But there are obviously some points that could be improved. I mean, some definitions are a bit vague and a bit broad, and actually some people would say that the legislation doesn't go far enough. But I think overall everybody could agree that it's a good package of legislation.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think definitely there are some things that we just take for granted. So for me, yeah, this is kind of a weird question. I don't know that I have a favourite law, but I did come across quite an interesting law, and we actually have a post on it in our employment law guide, so you can actually go and read more about it. But it's a New York law, and it's called the Faithless Servant Doctrine. So essentially, it means that if an employee acts unfaithfully towards his employer, any money or any compensation that they earned during that period of disloyalty has to be given over to the employer. And I remember reading this and I just thought it was really funny because so the post goes into a case that applies this law, but it's just funny because I can just imagine someone conniving and scheming and just trying to get away with something and thinking that, oh my god, yeah, like I've gotten away with this, and then just to turn around and having to give all of the money that they earned during that period back over to their employer. I just find it really funny.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in that situation, I don't know, I would be depressed, but to put it mildly, but
Okay.
you get what's coming to you, right? It sounds fair. It
sounds just.
It seems like a deterrent-minded law. It's like, listen, if you do this, just know that we're not just going to convict you of this, but all that money is going to go to your victim. Yeah, okay, so the next question is, could we cover common law? I'll deal with this briefly. Yes, we can cover common law. Obviously, common law just means judge-made law. It's law that comes out of judicial decisions rather than legislation. So, that's a very broad thing. There's common law on virtually every area of law, unless it's been completely replaced by statute, like a lot of land law has. But yeah, we can definitely cover the concept of common law, but I think we have already touched on common law quite a number of times in our post, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean we've got a lot of case law, which is the same thing. I mean, it's not just another word. We've got loads of cases. So, I mean, if there's something specific that you want us to cover, then obviously you can just message us. But always open to hearing suggestions.
Yeah. So another question is, who's our favourite lawyer?
I mean, I could be just really bait and just say Amal Clooney because she's like the only lawyer I know.
Yeah, I mean
she's cool, right? She's worked on some really cool human rights cases.
Yeah, but I don't really know her like that. I don't know like what she's done. Like, I know she's
what, like, wait.
I know she does international law and stuff like that, and represented some government and non-governmental actors against different things. I think I recall her representing the Yazidi community in an action against ISIS.
Yeah, and she, there was an Al Jazeera journalist who was being held in Egypt. She was, working with him. I just think she's worked on a lot of high-profile cases, and
yeah, but I don't know her ability as a lawyer. Like, I don't know. I've never seen her in court. I've never, so I could never say if she's any good or not, or whether she's, my favorite lawyer. But obviously, she must be good if she's, getting all these instructions from, high and important people. So
yeah, I mean, if we expanded the question to like judges as well, then I think, Lady Hale is really impressive.
Yeah, that's actually good. I mean, Lord Newbert Lord Neuberger. I like him a lot.
Right.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He like in terms of the decisions that he makes. You know, I generally respect his process of reasoning in his decisions. You know, and Lady Hale, she's good too. And I've actually met both of them. Okay, so I think that concludes questions that we have about the law itself. The next section of questions, well, the next group of questions are on law school and the legal profession and things like that. So do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so the first question is, do you have any tips on the LNAT?
Well, yeah, I'm going to leave that to you because I haven't done the LNAT. So, yeah, you're a
So
much better place to speak
yeah,
on it.
I actually did do the LNAT when I was applying for university, but it's been a while. So I just remember not enjoying that process. But so for those who don't
How long
know,
was it? How long was it?
the LNAT exam,
Yeah.
it's 2 hours and 15 minutes.
How long did you revise for?
How long did I revise for? Oh my god, a while. I don't remember the details now. I think I blocked that period out of my memory.
But was it like revising for a theory test or was it like cramming the last week or like
No, I
months
spaced out
and
my
months in
revision.
advance?
I don't know about months, but at least a couple. I don't know. I can't remember, I'll be honest.
Okay.
Right, but anyway, for those who don't know, the LNAT is an aptitude test that certain universities will require you to do if you're applying to study law at them. And there are two parts to it. So there's the multiple choice section and then there's an essay section. So you have 95 minutes to do the multiple choice questions and 40 minutes for the essay. That's not long at all. And what's important to know is that the LNAT is not testing your legal knowledge. It's testing your verbal reasoning skills, your logical thinking, and your intellectual ability. So you don't need to know anything about the law, but it would still be good to keep up to date on legal issues, especially for the essay side. My biggest tip for the LNAT is just to practice. If you've ever done any verbal reasoning tests before, you'll know that the more you do them, the better you'll get. So do as many practice tests as you can. The LNAT website has loads and loads of resources. And then, if you can get one of those LNAT practice books, they're really, really useful. They go into, explanations of why certain answers are correct and things that you just won't pick up on. If you have done the LNAT or if you're currently practicing, you'll know how tricky the questions can be. So it's not always obvious what the right answer is. But just don't overthink it and make sure that you're using all the information in the passage, because sometimes you'll read what it says and then you might start adding in some assumptions, you might start adding in your own opinions, but don't do that. Just focus on exactly what it says, and use the process of elimination. That will help a lot. Okay, and for the essay, 40 minutes is not a long time at all, but make sure that you spend at least 5 minutes planning your essay, because this will really give it structure and it really ups the quality as well. So make sure you keep your writing as concise as possible, and definitely pick a side. So you have to argue and defend an opinion when you're writing the essay. So don't sit on the fence, make your point, and remember to proofread proofread everything. And you should be fine. Just practice is key for the LNAT.
Yeah, and if anybody that's watching this has taken the LNAT recently, please do feel free to type your experience or share your experience in the comment section.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the next question is, what are some types of jobs that you can get in a law firm without necessarily having a law degree?
I think that there's quite a lot of jobs that you can do in a law firm without a law degree. For example, you could be a personal assistant, an administrative assistant, or you could do something with finance like accounting or bookkeeping or costs. Or you could be in human resources if it's a very large firm, and you're good at managing people and doing payrolls and stuff like that, or hiring and firing. Yeah, so, at the end of the day, you've got to bear in mind that even though it's a law firm, it's a business just like any other company. And so it will need the normal services that a normal company will need. So they will need everything from a cleaner all the way to an accountant.
Yeah. But also, if you are looking for legal work at a law firm, you can technically get legal secretary or legal assistant jobs, or even a paralegal job, without necessarily having a law degree. It's just, realistically speaking, it's just going to be really difficult because there are so many candidates for these roles, and they have law degrees, and or they will have experience. So, if you somehow have legal work experience but you don't have a law degree, then you might be able to go into a legal role here. But
Yeah,
yeah, you'll probably need to do some sort of additional study if you want to go down that route.
yeah, yeah. There's also, secretary work. You could be a clerk, and things like that. Or you could be a practice manager where you are not really involved in the law side of things at all, but you just manage the practice. And piggybacking off what Kaz said, even if you don't have a law degree, well, if you don't have a qualifying law degree, if you have another kind of law degree, such as a BA in law or a master's in law, then you could get a paralegal role or a legal kind of role. The only thing that you can't do is be a lawyer.
Yeah. And if you're looking for sort of a legal-esque career, it doesn't have to necessarily be in a law firm. Then there are like adjacent roles you can go for. You could work at a charity or at an NGO, or you can be a caseworker, go into legal research, or policy, which isn't exactly the law, but it's related. So lots of options.
Yeah. This question is: can you please clarify the rules on exams, particularly A level? I'm also very confused as to whether my LNAT will be taking place.
Yeah, okay. So with regard to the LNAT, just check with Pearson VUE, or whoever your test provider is. They'll be the best. They'll be in the best position to give you the relevant details.
Yeah, I know that Pearson VUE has been conducting exams on behalf of different law schools throughout the pandemic, so it is very possible that it is going ahead, but again, I don't know their particular arrangements for the LNAT specifically. Yeah, so the best thing for both the LNAT and for A level, GCSE, or any other exams is to always check with your educational institution, or the provider of the examination arrangements, because they're going to be the first people to know how things will go. So you will find out from them before you'd find out from us. We would probably just get the information from any press release that they made. So
yeah, I mean, at the moment, the government has said that exams won't be going ahead in the summer, and they're basically at this point in time,
in terms of A
they've
levels and GCSE,
yeah, and so they're currently seeking comments and views from schools and teachers and everything on what is the best way to examine pupils. I guess because they want to avoid what happened, like the absolute fiasco of last year. So yeah, I mean, you'll know before us, I think.
yeah. So right now they're doing a consultation, and once the consultation's over, then you can expect further information.
Okay, next question.
I'm in year 13 at the moment and hoping to do a law degree. Well, to be more clear, I want to be a lawyer, but I'm willing to go through other routes. What would you say is the best option going forward? Because of COVID, the uni situation is a bit unclear, so should I just get work experience for the next year?
I mean, this is obviously totally up to you, and it depends on what you value and what you really want. Because if you know that you just want to be a lawyer and you don't really care about going to uni, then I would say look into apprenticeships, because a lot of law firms are offering school leavers apprenticeships where you work and study at the same time. And so if you're more practical minded and you just want to get stuck in, then that could be a good option, because I think it takes about 6 years, but you'll come out at the end with as a solicitor and you'll have a degree as well.
And you'll
So
also have
that's
been
one good
earning
option.
at the same time rather than spending money.
Yeah, and you won't have the student loans, I think. Don't quote me on that one. But yeah, it depends on whether you really want to go to uni, because there are loads of benefits to university. I mean, we both went, and just in terms of academic interest, if you get to, well, firstly you get to meet loads of people. There's a massive social element to it, and then just in terms of teaching, you get taught by some of the greatest academics, and there's just loads of other sort of networking opportunities,
Extracurricular activities such as law societies, mooting competitions, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so there's loads and loads of benefit at university, and it's a great experience. But obviously with COVID, it is a bit mad. But I mean, I would say reach out to people that are currently studying at university, that are going through pandemic studying, and seeing what their experience is, and then also reach out to people that are doing apprenticeships and find out what it's like, because people on LinkedIn are actually very approachable, and so use LinkedIn to figure out to connect with people, and it might help you to be a bit more clear about your options.
Yeah. The only thing that I would add is that if you're certain that you want to go to university, I don't really think there would be much of a difference to your career either way, whether you went next year or whether you delayed it for a further year, because everything would just be moved online or to coursework. Personally, I wouldn't think there is any good reason to delay your studies. If you know you want to study law and you want to do it at university, just do it. In fact, they're probably going to be more lenient in terms of deadlines and the work that you have to do because of the current circumstances than if it was just a normal school year, a normal university year. But obviously, again, there's that important factor of you will not be experiencing the normal first year that you would otherwise be experiencing if there wasn't a pandemic, so social life, meeting students, that collective learning environment, and sinking your teeth into those extracurricular and co-curricular activities. You will have one less year to really be able to do that. But in terms of just pure studies, personally, I would just get on with it and get it done. But yeah, if you do decide to delay your studies, then it would be ideal to make that gap year as productive as possible. It might be difficult getting legal work experience, because they tend to give it to people that are either on their degree or people that have finished their degree. But it's certainly not impossible to get legal work experience, and there is a lot of some firms offer work experience, or barristers' chambers offer mini pupilages to A-level students, so that is something that you could look towards. It's really up to you, but if you're passionate about it, go for it.
Okay, next question. What is the SQE exam, and is the 2-year work experience part the same as training contracts? Okay, so this question is basically asking about the new route into becoming a solicitor. So for those of you who don't know, the way that you become a solicitor in the UK is changing. The traditional route was you do a law degree, then you do your LPC, which is a 1-year course, and then you do a 2-year training contract at a law firm. So you would get a formal offer from a law firm, and you'd be a trainee lawyer there, and you'd learn about you'd move around the different departments, and it's a formalized process. But now that whole process of the LPC is getting scrapped, and they're bringing in an SQE exam, which it's a 2-part exam, standardized assessment.
Yeah, so basically it streamlines all the different routes to becoming a lawyer into one process. So whether you do work experience for 2 years, whether you do a training contract, whether you take a non-conventional route, you all take the same exam to qualify as a solicitor if you want to be a solicitor. The 2 year work experience part is pretty much the same as training contracts. Training contracts, you just do legal work for 2 years. You train to be a lawyer for 2 years. It's pretty much what you do as a paralegal. If you're a paralegal, you just do everything that a lawyer does under the supervision of one. And that's precisely what you do in a training contract. But the difference is that a trainee solicitor, which is somebody who's doing a training contract, just has a few more privileges. They're able to, sign stuff, and they acquire the rights of a solicitor temporarily or provisionally, if I could put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, so basically it's just becoming a lot more flexible to become a solicitor, and you've got a lot more options now.
Yeah, and don't be intimidated by the SQE exam. It's trying to make it more inclusive, not trying to make it more difficult for people to get into law. Yeah, so the next question is, what are your opinions on doing a non-law degree to get into corporate law rather than doing law? I think it's absolutely fine whichever route you choose, but I would say if you want to go into corporate law, then I would personally just do a straight law degree, because you get optional modules and you can get as corporate as you want to get within those optional modules. The only situation where I would say to do a non-law degree is if you're passionate about learning a subject that isn't already offered on a law degree, and the only way that you can learn about it is obviously by taking a non-law degree. But for things such as politics or business, you can get as political as you want on a law degree, you can get as corporate as you want on a law degree, and you can really find something that you will be interested in within the law itself, and you'll increase your chances of doing that if you go to a university that has a wide range of optional modules on offer as part of their law degrees.
So I actually think it's a really great idea to do a non-law degree. Ultimately, I think you should study whatever you are really passionate about. So if you want to do law and that's the only thing you want to do, then just study law. But there's loads of pros to doing a non-law degree. If you look at the intake of trainees at the big law firms, the big corporate law firms, about 50% of them come from non-law degree backgrounds. So clearly law firms do not discriminate about what you study at your undergraduate level.
So how's that a factor in favour of it?
Because, right, obviously we can see that law firms don't discriminate, and this is also an opportunity for you to showcase some other skills that other candidates might not have. So for example, if you did economics or some sort of analytical based degree, you can easily show all these analysis skills which are really useful to being a lawyer. If you did business, then you can show that you have loads of commercial awareness, and these are really important things. Increasingly, having a non-law background, because if you do a non-law degree, you will do the GDL, which is the law conversion course. So you're obviously going to have all the legal training anyway. So it shows a varied background. You have more to talk about. You can talk about different things at your interview. The only sort of thing I would say is that if you do take the non-law degree option, then make sure that you are getting involved with as many extracurriculars as you can. So, get involved with mooting, get involved with the law society, negotiation competitions. And try and get work experience, because that will really, showcase that you actually want to do law. I think it's great. You'll have loads of opportunities.
Yeah, there's two other things that I just want to add there. That if you do a non-law degree, just bear in mind that when you do the GDL, you will be restricted in the kind of specialist areas of law that you'll be able to delve into. You'll just learn the core modules. Whereas if you do a law degree, you get a lot of optional modules in different specialist areas of law, such as employment law or international law or international corporate law, international economic law. If you do a GDL, obviously you get that flexibility of being able to learn the optional modules of whatever degree you chose. And in some universities, I know they allow you to do perhaps 25% of your optional modules can be from another course if there is space on that course. I know that my university offered that. But yeah, so just bear in mind that, you'll be restricted in the specialist areas of laws that you'll be able to choose for yourself. But if you're happy with that, then go ahead and feel free to do either a law degree or non-law degree. And the other point is that if you do a law degree and you want to learn about another subject area, you can always do a master's. Or if you do a non-law degree and then you do the GDL and you want to learn about more specialist areas of law, you can also do a master's. So there's quite a lot of flexibility, but obviously that will extend the amount of time that you'll be studying.
Yeah, okay. So that sums up the law school and legal profession questions. Our last section, this is a fun one. This is just sort of the funny questions that we got. So let's just kick it off. First question is, how much milk are you legally allowed to consume?
Yes. How much milk are you legally allowed to consume? This is from one of our favourite supporters.
I mean, the limit does not exist, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a free country.
It's a free country. You can get as much milk as you want and consume as much milk as you are able to get. But yeah, okay. So the other question is, where do babies come from? The sky.
Yeah, I think it's well, it used to be by storks, right? Like storks used to get your babies, but now
it's the baby factory.
I think Amazon drones. Amazon drones, they deliver them.
Yeah. Okay, who's the better player overall, Ronaldo or Messi? Messi.
Yeah, gotta be Messi.
Are you part of Antifa?
No.
No. We are not part of or affiliated with any political organisation, and nor do we intend to be.
Okay, what superpower would you want?
I think it depends. Am I living in a world of superpowers or just in the real world? Nobody has superpowers except me.
Both.
Okay, so if it was a world of superpowers, then I'd want the ability to manipulate or control fire. I don't know why. I just feel like fire is really cool. But I want to be able to make the fire. I want to be able to make as much fire as I want. Make it as hot as I want it, and cool it down as much as I want it. Make it room temperature fire if I wanted, or a cold fire if I wanted. That'd be really cool. I could fly. I could use the fire to propel myself to fly like a jet. But in the real world, if it was a real world, I would want the power of mind control. I think that's really cool. That would be the most useful power. Mind control.
Yeah, I can see why you'd want that. For me, it's got to be teleportation.
Teleportation?
I don't care about mind control.
That's so lame.
Yeah, man.
That's just travel. That's just fast travel.
I don't think you understand. Like, I just think that is so beneficial. Like, just if I just want to be on the beach, I want to be in the Maldives. I can just teleport in 1 second. I'm there. You're never going to be late for anything. You never have to.
But if you got mind control, if you can do mind control, then you could mind control the flight attendant to let you onto the plane and go to the Maldives anyway. You could mind control the pilot to drive you anywhere else. There's just so many things that you can do.
Yeah.
And technology will probably reach the point one day where
I don't think it will.
You can do instant travel anyway, so it wouldn't really be a superpower. It would be like more of a technological advancement.
Maybe. Okay, would you rather have teeth for hair or hair for teeth?
Hair for teeth, obviously.
What? No. I would have teeth for hair.
Why would you want teeth for hair?
Because I don't want hair for teeth.
What? Hair
I don't
for
want
teeth?
hair. Like,
you want teeth on your head. That means you would have to brush your head.
Yeah, but I'm not going to use the teeth on my head to eat.
Yeah, but otherwise they'll go mouldy and then you'll get tooth pains and toothache. You'll get cavities. Have you ever had a white socket before? It's the most painful thing ever. A white socket. I never had it, but I almost had it. I was in excruciating pain, right? One time. And I went to see the doctor the dentist. I went to see the dentist and he told me that I nearly had a white socket. I was like, what? Nearly? It was crazy. But I Googled it and apparently women that have had birth that have also had...
Have had birth?
Yeah, women that have had birth that have also...
Do you mean given birth?
Yeah, women that have given birth, had birth. You know, one and the same. You know, potato, potato. But yeah, women that have been through labour that have also had a white socket have said that the white socket was more painful. I think there's only a select few things in the world that are like more painful than childbirth. I think white socket is one of them, and cluster headaches is another, and just a few other things. But yeah, it's crazy.
Fun fact, if you have a cluster migraine, you could be eligible for the CAN card.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's one of the diseases.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably rather have no access to weed than have cluster headaches and need weed. I mean, if I had cluster headaches,
yeah,
mate, weed is the least you can give me. I need morphine. I need, I need the strongest painkillers.
The narcotics.
Yeah, I need the strongest things that you can give me. But yeah, hair for teeth.
All right, next question. Do you watch Suits?
Yep.
Yeah, I used to watch Suits, but I stopped after I think maybe season 5. So
I mean, I watched it in 2 parts. First time I watched it to like season 3 or 4, and then I stopped, and then I continued. I went back on myself a little bit and continued from season 3 to the end, and it was like, I was like, wow, I stopped at the wrong time, because season 4 I think was amazing.
Yeah, I've heard it's worth like to carry on watching, so I might get back into it.
Yeah, but if you want to know whether the legal profession is anything like Suits, it's not. Suits is like 90% drama, 10% actual work. And all that work is mainly oral, but in real life it's like 99% written and then like 1% spoken.
Okay, and do you want to be Harvey Specter?
Nah. He's got too many problems. But I love his character. But he's just got way too many problems.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be Harvey Specter.
Also, like, terrible work-life balance. Like, no, thank you. Great to watch.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I would love to be in a job that I enjoyed so much that I'm thinking about it all day, and it's literally my whole day, like in Suits. But I wouldn't actually want it to be like that. I would still want... I like the division. Okay, so the last question is, do you miss Meghan Markle being in Suits? Yeah, I didn't like her until the 3rd season, but now I'm like her biggest fan.
Yeah, no, I stopped watching before she left, so her leaving Suits had 0 impact on me.
Did she leave?
But,
wait, have they released the final season? Because I know...
But I mean, when I was watching it, she was still in it, so...
Yeah, I know they recorded a season. She recorded her last season before she married the Prince
Harry. Yeah.
And after that, she said that she's done with Suits. But I'm not sure whether they actually released that season or whether maybe the royal family stepped in to let nah.
Who knows? Maybe someone can tell us.
Yeah, let us know. But yeah, so that concludes our first Q&A. This video, if you're hearing it, will probably be split into several different parts. Part 1, part 2, and 3. We'll try and make each episode like half an hour. We're going to do another one soon. Yeah, feel free to keep the questions coming. Like, subscribe, click the bell notification icon, follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Medium, and let us know what you thought and any feedback that you have. And just thank you again for submitting the questions, and for all of our followers that regularly comment and DM us and discuss the law with us and all that stuff. I mean, we love doing that with you guys, so keep engaging. We love it. Yeah, and we take note of all of you, and thanks for your support. Yeah, we definitely know who obviously you are. The Third Opinion wouldn't be anything if there was no audience, so hopefully we'll grow with you guys, and we'll work together to make this the best legal channel on YouTube or any other platform that you may be hearing this. Alright, see you later, guys. Bye.